Coach O wants back in the game, he says today. And I would probably want back in the game, too, if my wife took $9 million from me, half of my buyout from LSU, and when Scott Woodward fired me. But I don't know if that's the real reason why Coach O wants to get back into coaching. If you missed it today, he went on with Barstool and said he wanted back in. He's got the itch to get back in the game. And here's the truth. I think enough time has passed where a lot of the wrongs that Ed had have somewhat been a little bit written, meaning it was horrible at the time. The way things ended were horrible at the time, but I don't think anybody hates Ed Orgeron. I know that I certainly don't. Maybe there are a couple of hosts or journalists or whatever they call themselves that still hate Coach O, but I don't. And I think if you truly love something, like are you truly, truly over that ex that you loved? Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. I don't know. But if you truly love something, you're always going to want to get back. Now, Coach O did say today on Barstool that he would even apparently take a role as an assistant coach, which I don't think would be bad for Ed Orgeron. Could you imagine Ed Orgeron recruiting in a modern era of NIL as an assistant if he goes to a place like Miami and can have the expended monies to recruit a defensive line? I do think about him at the University of Miami. LSU's always going to be tied to Ed, and Ed's always going to be tied to LSU. And for that, it's not depressing. Coach O was asked today a lot of questions about the 2019 team. And it's good to look back on it. It's good to reflect. Before the season, it's really good to reflect on so many different things that went right in that season, and quite honestly, that went right early in the Ed Orgeron tenure. But I do say this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I would not want to see Coach O having unlimited resources at a university as an assistant coach when he can go out there and recruit defensive line, because he will win. He will win. And he'll do some really good things along that defensive line. If Coach O truly wants to get back in the game, which I think that he does, good on him, and I hope that he gets there, because college football is better with Ed Orgeron in the game. You might not like these teams that I'm about to say, but I think college football is better when USC is good. I think college football is better when teams like Florida State or Florida are really good. Guys, you don't have the 2007 crazy game when you go in there and you run the ball and you convert it so many times on fourth down without Florida being really good and having a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in Tim Tebow. That game's not as relevant if that team sucks. I think of really and truthfully all the battles that you've gotten in against Alabama. Guys, it wouldn't have been anything, number one, if Saban wouldn't have been there, but number two, if they sucked, wouldn't have meant anything. But I do believe that if Coach O gets to the right situation, and I'm not talking about a G5 Rudy Poo-ass program that doesn't want to give him the money to do what he needs to do to be successful. But I do think Ed's had some time to think. And I think he understands how massively he messed up. And I do hope him well, and I wish him well, and I hope he gets back in the game, because I do believe if he gets unlimited funds and he can recruit, because Ed Orgeron's personality, regardless of how old you are, it can be contagious, because he's going to give you everything. But can he be mature enough? I use the word and say it as mature as my grandma Jewel would say. But can he be mature enough to handle that situation? That will be the ultimate question. Mario Cristobal, you got a very interesting conversation you need to have with yourself. A very interesting conversation. Because I don't believe that Ed Orgeron's forgotten how to coach defensive line. I don't think he's forgotten how to be in a situation where he can get those guys better. The LSU situation ended poorly. You and I all know that. And he'll always be tied to this place. And for that, I am forever grateful. But the bottom line remains, if he does get back in there, I'm not going to want to face off against him in recruiting. I don't care how old he is. All right. Let's get moving. By the way, did you see Ed Orgeron today? He was asked, I think it was, pardon my take, they asked him who was the best recruit you ever recruited, not named Joe Burrow, and he said Reggie Bush. Ed Orgeron said today that he thought that USC was going to lose out on Reggie Bush, and he called his daddy and said, I need to buy you a steak dinner. First off, recruiting violation. Ed just admitting that. I mean, it is what it is. But, of course, Reggie Bush, I mean, best running back that we might have seen in the last 2 decades. He's relentless, dude. He's relentless. He's relentless. He knows what he's doing. If he can be around a good situation, it'll all pan out for him. I don't think that guys like Lane Kiffin or Kirby Smart would say no to Ed, honestly. But Ed does bring some bags with him, and you got to make sure that you can contain those bags. Pause. But it's the truth. All right. Got lots to talk about. We're going to get to the scrimmage that was on Saturday. We actually got told today by LSU that we will be able to be out there at that scrimmage on Saturday this weekend. So we will be in attendance for the scrimmage this weekend under the lights in Death Valley before the season. You talk about being pumped up and excited, because I am. Final scrimmage for LSU will be this Saturday, and we will be in there to take all of it. So we will talk about the scrimmage that was this past Saturday, some things that we were told, some outlooks on it in reference to it. Practice report today. We got a lot of notes that we got to go through. LSU will be back out there in full pads tomorrow. We will be back out there as well with him. I do think that they're going to get really prepared, and they're going to run some things tomorrow. I think tomorrow is going to be a very high-intense day tomorrow. And then we'll get locked out for Wednesday and Thursday. But I've been told that tomorrow might even be, a borderline half scrimmage to some extent to get things moving. So we'll see. So I'm really interested for tomorrow. But we'll run through a lot of the things that happened today. Need to throw a couple of Clemson things in there. We'll talk about Clemson on Thursday, and we'll really start prepping for Clemson on Thursday. You and I will have a deep discussion on Clemson on Thursday. But we'll take some scrimmage notes, we'll take some practice reports, and then we'll field some questions, thoughts, and concerns from there. I do want to say this before we get moving. Got a lot of feedback from y'all on the David Pollack interview. First off, thank you for all the feedback that you've given us. One of the bigger shows that we've done here on AYS from an audio perspective wise, it absolutely crushed. Thank you for all those who shared the David Pollack interview. If you haven't listened to it before the season starts, I highly suggest that you still go over there and listen to it. Listen to it again if you already have done it. But I appreciate Pollack, who is now starting to become a really good friend, not only to me, but to the show. I appreciate him joining in. I'm sure that we're going to have David on probably throughout the season as it transpires. But thank you for all the feedback that you gave us on the David Pollack interview. Looking forward to him being back on the show very, very, very soon. All right, let's get to a couple comments before we get rolling here. Eric Johnson, a member on YouTube. Yes, all the content. I told you. I think, Eric, maybe it was you that reached out, said that David Pollack interview was up and rolling for the members only an hour before it dropped. Yeah. And we're going to continue to do that. But I appreciate Eric being in here. He says 850 is in the building. Good to have you with us here. Where is everybody listening to from tonight? Where is everybody listening to from tonight? Corey Rogers says, I'm not taking Coach O over Kyle Williams. I wouldn't either right now. I mean, you clearly can't. But Williams has already recruited better than him. Kyle's had a lot of help. I'll leave it at that. He's had a lot of help, but he has. I like Kyle. I'm just saying, listen, Ed on a recruiting trail when he has the money can do some really scary things. Keith says, let's go. He's in the Bayou, the 985. Good to have you in here with us. David says, O is good at a staff position, not just good as a head coach. Maybe for 1 year as a head coach. That's about it. Charles McKee says Columbia, South Carolina stands in. Corey Rogers says Bojangles tomorrow. Yeah, the 985 is getting a Bojangles. How about that? Dr. John Sibley Butler says Austin, Texas via the 985 Franklinton, Louisiana. Franktown stand up for your boy. Good to have you in here. Spooner Spin says the 313 in the building, but I am from the 225, and the 225 is in the building as always. Miles is in Atlanta, Georgia. Is it the 337? In Atlanta, Georgia, the 337. No, not 337. The 773, excuse me. I said the 337. The 773. I think it is. Joshua's in Memphis, the 901 stand up and stand live. Good to have you in here. And Jace Max is in the 337 stand up as well. Good to have you, all of you in here. Yes, where is everybody listening to from tonight? Dylan is in Jeff Davis Parish, the 337. You got to love it, baby. You got to love it. This is something that I look forward to every day. And I truly do mean this. There's 972 of you watching across all three platforms right now. And of all 900 of you right now, I love seeing where everybody's watching from. And you know who else loves seeing where everybody's listening from? Our good friends over at FanDuel. That's right. Our good friends over at FanDuel love to see where all of you are placing those bets from. The number one sports book inside of the United States of America. Guys, I'm going to tell you, season getting here, you better get some of those bets in. Do you think Garrett's a plus 900 Heisman? You better go over there and do it. Yeah, I talked to our friends over at FanDuel today. They were telling us, hey, Blake, we love seeing where everybody's listening from, but if you hadn't signed up, go over to FanDuel. You need to. Maybe some money's coming in your near future. But FanDuel.com is the place to be at the Sportsbook if you're on Twitter. Also, you have a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Bet responsibly. Please bet responsibly. If you do have a problem, they do have 24-hour assistance. Go over to FanDuel.com/RG. But question remains, LSU plus 3.5 on FanDuel against Clemson week 1. Do you need to sprinkle some lines on that and some money on that as well? That's all I know. Maybe you should. All right, everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, and wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let's get to a quick break. We come back and talk practice report. Scrimmage was on Saturday. We get to all of that. We do that next. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Hey, guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority.
We're back.
All right. I'm going to give you the opportunity. What do you want to hear first? Practice report or scrimmage on Saturday? The practice report's not that long. So I say that we go to that and get the practice report out of the way, and then we'll get to the scrimmage from Saturday. How about we do that? Everybody cool with that? Thumbs up, thumbs down in the chat. Thumbs up, thumbs down in the chat. Practice report not that long. They were only out there 30, 45 minutes. No real big deal. All right, everybody says scrimmage. You know what? Nah, we're going to go practice report first. Practice report first, because we got a little bit more that we got to get to that. All right, let's get to it. So LSU was out there day 16 for the Tigers in fall camp, and there were some things that we saw. I guess we should have done scrimmage first, but we're going to tie some of these in together. Later when we talk about the scrimmage, what we're going to talk about is on Saturday, I think in that scrimmage, what you saw was in some shakeups today along the offensive line. So the first thing you saw today was for sure Paul Mabenga was at left guard, and Carius Kern had some reps with the first team at right tackle. Now, Weston Davis came in when they went to 11-on-11 run game period, and in that, they shook some things up along their offensive line. The reason they did that was because of how some things went Saturday during the scrimmage. I was told that things did not go well offensively along the offensive line, and some shakeup is going to happen. Now, if you remember last Thursday and last Wednesday, I said, listen, when we're out there on Friday and we see practice, and then coming out of this scrimmage, you're going to really start seeing what LSU thinks about their team offensively up front. Because if they don't mix some things up there, then you're just going to be in a situation where they're just going to roll with this 5 because they're still getting the same reps. Today, they mix some things up. What will be very interesting to see is if tomorrow they still mix some things up. I don't know if they will, but if you're going to roll out there with it today, why not do it when you're going to be in full pads tomorrow will be my question. Maybe to get a fire under some of these guys' rear ends. Maybe some guys that had some off scrimmages offensively, you're sending the message, hey, man, we don't have a lot of time to play around, and if you're going to have bad days, we're going to have to figure this out quickly. And maybe that is what they're doing. But the main thing for me is this. Carius Kern being at tackle still is not what I want to see personally. I don't think that you've been bad enough at right tackle right now, as bad as you've been in the interior, to move Kern to right tackle. Now, again, they're giving him reps. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to do the best they can in finding this young man a position. I still think it's at guard. And you're 16 days into this, and I don't know how many reps he's taken from that position. But my question becomes, is Paul Mabenga, DJ Chester, and Josh Thompson giving you enough in the interior that when you look at it, that you say, okay, these are the guys that we want to roll with? I still wish they would have moved him to the inside. But today in day 16, Carius Kern replaced Weston Davis. Weston Davis came in for 11-on-11 walk-through run game period, or 2-quarter speeds walk-through period. And it is what it is. Let's see if this unit works, because quite frankly, you better figure it out quickly. Again, I think Gabe Rutherford, for what it's worth, had a massive Saturday. Pyburn, this defensive line had a massive Saturday. Can they continue to replicate will be the big thing. And we'll talk about that a lot on the scrimmage. But to give you some context, hey, well, why do they do that? Well, I don't think Weston Davis has necessarily been the massive issue for you. I do think you've been worse in the interior if you're going to poke holes in the stuff. But that's just me in the times that we've been out there. We'll be back out there tomorrow, and then they'll give us Saturday, and let's see what it looks like in a full up-top scrimmage. I'm assuming we'll be in the press box. Maybe we're not. I don't know. But if we are in the press box, which I'm going to like that view because you get to see everything, who is giving it up? What is happening? Man, you get a really big-time bird's-eye view when you're that high up. Maybe they put us on the sidelines. I don't know. I doubt that. But we shall see. The other thing that was noticed in practice today that I want to bring up about the offensive line. Look, I have not seen outside of maybe once, maybe twice at max, anybody else run as the first team center other than Braylon Moore. BK said last week that Braylon Moore has been the best and most consistent offensive lineman that they've had in the interior. I vastly agree with him on that. And you got that position locked down. Tyree Adams is going to be at left tackle. He hadn't moved. For what it's worth, Josh Thompson hasn't moved. So if that is the ultimate case here, I mean, maybe they're trying to figure some things out at right tackle and left guard, but Paul Mabinga did see a lot of reps today. Does he continue to see those reps tomorrow? Will be the ultimate question. Whit Weeks was limited today. Harold Perkins was not at practice today. I continue to say this if Perk got hurt or there was a situation with him, it would have already been out. Y'all know that with the whole Garrett Nussmeier thing. I think as BK continues to say, man, look, some of these guys that are coming off of injuries, we're going to give them load management days. Whit Weeks had one last week. He had one again today. Garrett Nussmeier had one last Friday. And I do think Harold Perkins got one today. I have not heard anything for what it's worth right now that if a game happened tomorrow, Harold Perkins would be out there starting at star. I have been told that there's been some situations, like if you hear me sniffling, guys, it's going around. So, listen, nothing to panic with. Everything's going to be fine there. But load management is something, BK, when these guys are just out all of a sudden, becomes load management days. I don't hate that. As analytical as Brian Kelly has been, you know the guys and the players that have been giving you everything that they've got. Everything that they've got. And I think Perkins has given you more than enough in camp to know that that star position is more than locked down. Let's just see tomorrow. I mean, if there's some more lingering stuff going on, sure, we'll point it out. And if they're not out there tomorrow, sure, we'll point it out. And then we can have the conversation. Just not when Brian Kelly's brought up that these guys are out just all of a sudden. I just don't think that there's a situation where anybody needs to look more into that. Let's get to this. There was an interesting point in practice today. If you noticed today, LSU posted a video of Mansour Delane, the corner from Virginia Tech, which I don't think we need to keep saying who they are. Either you know them by now or you don't. But Mansour Delane making a tackle on a screen play on Chris Hilton. There was a part of practice today where Joe Sloan and I know our buddy Mike Scarborough got this on his practice footage, so you can go check it out. There was a period today where LSU was working on screens. And Joe Sloan was not with the offensive line and quarterbacks when the screen game was going on. He was with the receivers and the receivers only. Now, 9 times out of 10, Joe Sloan is always with the quarterbacks. Always. I haven't seen him go to another section. I haven't seen him done anything else other than with quarterbacks or calling plays. Today he's with the receivers. Because they're going to have to find a way. They're going to have to find a way that when they cannot run the ball against Clemson, do some of these long form handoffs. They're going to have to. The screen game is apparent in that. I'll give an example. And I think this is actually very smart by Joe Sloan to focus in on this. You might have issues early in the run game, but it doesn't mean that you can't replicate it. The screen game for me, when you have as many speedy receivers as you do, has got to be a strength that you utilize with this offense. It does. It's got to be a point of contention. Go watch Ohio State versus Texas. And I don't want you to watch the clip version on YouTube. I want you to go back and watch the whole game. The first quarter and a half, Texas is trying to find a way to run the ball against Ohio State. All night they're trying to find a way, and they just couldn't do it. A lot like when they went up against Georgia, they just couldn't do it. Sark instantly changes his game plan and starts throwing the ball to his receivers in space quickly and on screens. We're going to get 6 yards, and we're getting down. And he kept running it on first downs, and it never mattered because they kept getting 5, 6, 7 yards, 5, 6, 7 yards. And they're instead of second and 2 or second and 8, they're in second and 4, second and 2, or second and 2. They kept doing it over and over again. It's not going to be on your replays. But the one thing that I think that was so interesting today is Joe Sloan working with the receivers on the screen game and him losing his outright mind on these receivers and not blocking. Well, you got a lot of speed receivers, right? Chris Hilton, Barry Brown, Jelani Watkins, they're not necessarily the blocking type. So you want a fast, speedy receiver blocking a DB, that's not a matchup that he's going to win. You need to get Nick Anderson. You need to get Trey'Dez Green, Bauer Sharp. I don't give a flying Rudy Poo who you get out there. I do think it could be a massive weapon for you. Can you imagine the speed that you can have with guys like Jelani Watkins, with guys like Barry Brown, with guys like Chris Hilton? Guys, we've literally seen in the SEC what Barry Brown can and will do on a quick bubble screen. We've seen it. It's not like that shit on in reality doesn't exist. We've seen it. Joe Sloan lost his mind today on the receivers for not being aggressive enough in blocking. And he's not wrong. Guys, go look at the clip where Chris Hilton gets thrown a screen. How people in the comments were saying something about Chris Hilton is beyond me. Guys, a wide receiver had no idea what to do and missed a block, and Chris Hilton was standing there with the ball in his hands, and as soon as he catches it, Mansour Delane's there. It's not going to work. Nobody's going to break that. It could be a massive weapon for you, a very massive weapon. We've seen teams with a lot of speed from that slot position. Aaron Anderson, for crying out loud. Get him the ball. We've seen it be a strength for others. Can it be a strength for you? But the personnel that you're going to throw out there is not built to block a guy like Mansour Delane, who quite honestly is very versatile, that can play safety and corner. Just you can't throw screens to him because he's more physical than the guy in front of him. I can tell the pressure is on Joe Sloan. You can tell it. I don't mind that he goes in there and curses the guys out. It doesn't bother me none. Because, guys, quite honestly, if you can't – I think a couple of things are being very apparent here. You're running screens, getting on the receivers to find ways to get extensions of your run game and get your playmakers the ball in space. And, guys, you already shook up some of the offensive line, and the biggest reports coming out of camp, whether you agree with my takes or not, is, yeah, offense probably didn't win that scrimmage. They probably didn't win it because, guys, they didn't. Newsflash for the end of the show. They didn't. They did not win it. I know it's trying to be painted out there as, it was a 50-50 battle. No, it wasn't. No one. Anybody that talks to anybody that's in the know People were there. No, it wasn't. This defense continues to show up. Good. You might have a really damn good defense. Good. But that intensity starts growing along this offense, and I can tell it by Joe Sloan. Guys, they better start taking it to somebody. I know it's day 16 of camp. You're day one, you're getting back in the groove of things, but I got to tell you, offensively, you better start figuring it out. And I'm not talking about play calling. There are some guys in positions. Look, Barion Brown and Garrett Nussmeier have had a damn good connection the last 2 weeks. And some of you receivers that think that you had a slotted spot might not have it. So you better go out there and take it to somebody. It could be a big weapon for you. Can you utilize it? I'm really interested to see this offense this week. There seemed to be a lot of intensity throughout practice today. Pressure will make either bust people or build diamonds. There's only going to be two outcomes. The good thing about pressure at a place like LSU is it either is going to make stars or make diamonds, or people are going to flake out. And you're in an intense battle right now because you have a potential playoff team in week one. A couple other things from practice. Look, I mean, you can tell in some of these run game stuffs, I mean, it's a 15-minute period, then you're out of there. They're still running a lot of walkthroughs for Clemson. I mean, guys, they're going all in, and they better. I've noticed some people being a little bit shocked that they're already doing Clemson stuff. Why are you shocked? I know you're 18 days out and all that good stuff, but I don't think that matters. You better go take it to them. So listen, a very small practice report. It was a 12, 15-minute practice today, and you're out of there. Kind of more of a abbreviated walkthrough. You get back out there tomorrow in full pads, and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. All right. I see that we have some super chats in here. Let me get to this one from Dane. And then we'll get to the scrimmage. Dane says a $5 super chat says run a West Coast type of offense until they can figure it out how to run the ball. I mean, screens can do that. Quick slants can do that. You got to get these playmakers the ball out in space. Joe Sloan lost his godforsaken mind today at practice. I know Scarborough got it. Strike the bag. Block. I mean, he's not wrong. You can't say you love intense coaching when you see a guy like Saban do it, and then when Sloan gets out there because for whatever reason you do or don't like him, that you don't love it. You better take it to him, man, because Clemson ain't going to back down. Florida's not going to back down. Bama's not going to back down. A&M's not going to back down. South Carolina's not going to back down. There's nobody who's going to back down from you. Going half speed when you're trying to get this going and you got to pick it up, you better go out there and make every opportunity because someone's going to beat you out. Truth be told, Barion Brown keeps making plays. That is just the truth. Go back and listen to when Barion Brown committed to LSU. The first take that I had, please go back if you'd like. It's like he might be the best wide receiver pickup in the country from the portal based off of what you want to do. Him and Garrett have found a connection, and they're going to continue to. So that wide receiver room, whether it be Nick Anderson, Aaron Anderson, Kyle Parker, Chris Hilton, you better figure it out because 6 is here. And he ain't giving it up. We've seen the dude in the SEC do some really good things. Can he do it here will be an ultimate question, and I think that he can. I think that he can. Let's see if he does. All right. Let's get to the scrimmage. So listen, we will be out there at Piers on Saturday for the final scrimmage before opening week, before week one. I am grateful for that. I am glad that is happening. I am forever supportive that BK allows us to be and have the access that we do. With that being said, we were not out there this week. Made some this past Saturday. It was locked down. There were some boosters that were there, and you know what happens. Here were some of the things that I was told about the scrimmage. Blake, I don't trust you. Sounds good. Go listen to someone you do trust. These are the 6 things that I heard that went down on Saturday. Number 1, let's get some announcements out of the way. Michael Van Buren appears maybe to have had some broken fingers. His fingers were taped. I was told he hit it on somebody's helmet. And listen, I thought Michael Van Buren had his best week of camp the week before. And I do believe that if you went into a game-type situation today, your number 2 quarterback, unless the grace of miracle and Jesus Almighty can figure something out for you, I do think that oh gosh, bless it. Colin Hurley, I had a brain fart. Colin Hurley is your number 2 guy as of right now. If Michael Van Buren was healthy, it would be fine. I did hear that there was a scrap. I know a lot of you have asked about it. There was a scrap between Bauer Sharp and Whit Weeks, from what I was told. Who cares? Good. I don't care about camp fights. I could care less. Y'all really think Nick Saban didn't have camp fights? That's what some of y'all believe. Oh my God, they're fighting. And I make fun. Media members always get, oh God, they're fighting. And I'm like, why do y'all keep, why do y'all all, what does it matter? They're hitting one another. Of course they're going to get pissed off. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Was a pretty good scrap. Bauer Sharp, I was told, got the better of Whit Weeks. Roommates beware. Chris Hilton was taken out of the scrimmage. Chris took a bait hit, and they said, no, we're not doing that. You're not getting hit like that. They have basically put Aaron Anderson and Chris Hilton in bubble wrap. The problem in those guys not being out there and doing things is people can take your spot. That rolls into number 2. Guys, Barryon Brown keeps making plays. I don't think it was as bad as some intended for it to sound, or maybe what they heard on the scrimmage. But Barryon Brown made some massive plays. There are a couple of screens from Bauer Sharp that and some busted coverages against our defense they were able to do or get yardage on at a significant rate. But I do think Barryon Brown and the connection with Garrett has been a really good one as of late. Some of these deep passes and deep vertical throws that they keep throwing to him, he's getting open and making some ridiculous catches. I heard a couple of times in the scrimmage on Saturday and a couple of times in some one-on-one periods, Barryon and Nuss continue to find a connection. The bottom line remains is I think number 6 has had 2 really good weeks. The connection between Garrett and Barryon has been a big one. And quite honestly, they have not gone the direction of a lot of other people. You know, the limitation of the reps that I've seen Chris Hilton been thrown, guys, either they're throwing Chris Hilton a fade route or they're throwing him a quick screen. That's about it. Aaron Anderson has not been in there much since the little tendonitis in the knee or whatever it was. And it's made one of these receivers step up, and might be what they were trying to do ultimately. Is like, listen, we're purposely not going to throw the ball to Chris and Aaron and see what happens here. But the bottom line remains is somebody's got to step up. Is it Nick Anderson? Is it Kyle Parker? Is it Barryon Brown? And it seems like Barryon Brown has made that leap. Let's see what continues to happen at receiver. But I did hear he had a lot of explosive plays. Guys, what do we make of our front 7? Because if the reports are true, that this defense took it to you a little bit offensively up front. It is concerning about your offensive line and that continuously being an issue. But I do start asking the question, man, that means that these guys are bringing it every day. If you had like a good day here, then maybe 2 practices go by and a good day there, I would ask myself the question of, okay, well, there are some days that the D-line just absolutely brings it and they rake. They just get after it. But there's some days the offensive line holds strong. Guys, I'm really starting to question how good this front 7 might be. And I know you want to, or I want to be limited right now in talking about that front seven based off of the quote unquote, and the word I was told, domination at times that they had on Saturday. The question that I ask is, man, we've had 16 days of this, 16, and they keep bringing it every day. Number one, it's been high competition in that room. I don't think any defensive tackle has felt safe with Bernard Gooden creeping up. I don't think that there's been a lot of downplay at edge because, listen, Patrick Payton's coming in here saying, hey, man, I'm going to be a starter. And Gabe Rutherford and Jack Pyburn have said, not so fast, my friend, hashtag Lee Corso. I'm starting to question how good you are in your front seven. The question that I have is, are you going to be that good come Saturday against Clemson? And does that translate onto the field? Because you have given your offensive line more problems than they can have. The counter argument to that is the offensive line just below average? Are they not really that good? No, Brian Kelly seems to believe, for whatever it's worth, and he said last week in his press conference, I've been around a lot of first-round picks, or been around a lot of offensive lines. I think this is going to be a good one. I really do think this is going to be a good one. Okay, let's hypothetically act like that is the case. Then that means that your defensive line might be very special. Because if what he's saying is true and he thinks this offensive line will be good, well, by God, that defensive line might be better. I don't know where I sit on that scale. I don't know where I sit on that totem pole. For me, I want to be optimistic and say, look, man, I really do believe. And there's a lot of me that believes that in your front seven, you might just be that damn good. But I'm hesitant because I don't know how good this offensive line is or can be. Because they keep doing what they need to do. I was told the running game was moderately, I guess, okay, if you want to be optimistic there too, other than some long Caden Durham runs, which I think there was a couple for 12, 13, 14. And other than that, it was locked down. If that is the case, because I'm not there to see it, if that is the case, then we'll see. I don't like speculating on scrimmages. I don't like speculating on stuff that I cannot see. But there does come a point in time that feels like that's the narrative coming out of this thing. If that is the narrative that is coming out, then, guys, I got to be real with you. I think you might have a really good fucking football team. I really do. I don't feel as if Brian Kelly, see, here's another part that I said here too. Stay with me here. Brian Kelly has been very open the last 3 seasons about when there's a position group that is weak. He's constantly gone out there and made a point. In 2023, guys, I mean, he went at SEC Media Day, said, man, we're young at DB. Golly, we're just really young. He went on with Josh Pate twice. And then talked about his secondary. Last year, he talked about the inexperience at some key positions. He goes, man, how do you replace it, Jane? You know, the first thing that Brian Kelly said in spring going into 2024 was, how in the world do you replace Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas? Go listen to the press conference. I was there. It's the first thing he said. They're not walking through that door was his exact words. If Brian Kelly is correct, he knows more about football than I do. And it might just be coach speak. He hasn't given us a lot of that. That's what I'm trying to say. He's been very blunt. If you listen to him, he's been blunt. This offensive line per him might be a pretty damn good one. Then that means your defensive line might be that much better. The lack of offense does worry me. It does worry me. That would be the part of where I sit. Gabe Relaford has been outstanding. I think Patrick Payton has done some outstanding things. Jack Pyburn has been relentless. And guys, I mean, Bernard Gooden and Don McKinley has given this interior deep offensive line problems and fits. Don McKinley needs to have a massive year. It might not show up on the stat sheet, but you can't get pushed around like you did a year ago. You just can't. Brian Kelly raved about how big of an offseason Don McKinley had. We need it from him. We need it from him. We need it. Because you might have some struggles early out of the gate offensively. You might just have that. Can you win a game 20-17? Can you do that? And before we act like that's not possible in today's game, bullshit. Bullshit. And if you think it's not the same for Clemson, go watch some of their games from last season. Bullshit. Can you win a game 20-17? Can you hold Clemson to 17? If you keep whipping an O off, and I don't think Clemson's offensive line is that great, to be real with you. All five of them are returned, but Parks, their right guard, is out. He's on crutches. Let's see if he comes back for the game. He's got 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks. We'll see. As I mentioned earlier in the practice report, I think what happened on Saturday was a big reason as to why you saw shakeup along your offensive line today. Because they went 15 straight days with the same exact offensive line. And today they come out of a scrimmage, the first day that they came back, and they shook some things up. Of course they did. They ran 5 plays in 11-on-11 with Carius Kern. They ran 5 plays with Weston Davis, with the first team at right tackle. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't know. But we'll see. Guys, I will tell you this. Saturday, I was told, was another day where the run game wasn't as effective as maybe it needed to be. You're not going anywhere you want to go until that thing gets fixed. You're just not. You got to be very special. Guys, the teams that run the football the most effectively are the teams that are there at the end. Every time. You don't have to have the best overall rushing offense in the country, but you better be damn near sure that you can line up and run for 4. Need to do it. All right. When we come back, we'll take some questions, thoughts, and concerns. Fire in your questions. We'll be out there tomorrow, so tomorrow's show will be a absolutely massive one. But let me get to a quick break. I see some super chats are flying in here. We'll answer or get to thoughts, questions, concerns next. Stay with us. Hey, Southwest Louisiana. Are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000 square foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat? Go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
We're back.
No Depression on YouTube with a $5 super chat says, Blake, Kern does not look like a tackle based on video released. He was slow to react in every rep. I think he's a guard. I think he's a guard. I don't really know what else to say that. He's a guard to me. JTR on YouTube says, how would you set up the D-line to take the most advantage to the injury at right guard for Clemson? Great question. If you're asking me in some early down situations, I am going Gabe Relaford, Don McKinley, Bernard Gooden at facing off against the right guard, and then Jack Pyburn. Based on certain situations, formations, or whatever they're throwing at me, maybe one of those edge guys can come off for Patrick Payton, or you move Gabe Relaford or Jack Pyburn in the interior, and Patrick Payton goes on. If you're asking me what I would do against Clemson early, based off of what I have seen, I would, if Walter Parks, the right guard for Clemson, is going to be out, what I would do is see if Bernard Gooden can use his speed against a non-experienced offensive lineman at right guard and see if we could take advantage early. And I would mix up Bernard Gooden and Don McKinley first couple of plays to see who is more physicality going to get to him, or is more speed going to get to him, and we base what we need to do off of it. That's what I do. I think that Gabe Relaford, for what it's worth, guys, you keep seeing him run with the first team. You know why that is? Because he keeps winning. He just keeps beating your tackles religiously. Can Patrick Payton pick it up? Can Gabe Relaford translate from practice to the game? Because, guys, the God's honest truth is these defenders know what's coming. They know. They know what's coming because they know every call that the offense is making. Here's another sidebar. Clemson's going to know based off of some things too. So you better switch it up. Kel Booty says, how is the secondary in the scrimmage? Pretty good. Pretty good from what I was told. Yeah, pretty fair. I think A.J. Halsey, I think that there is some concern about his explosiveness in reference to in coverage. But he's going to come down in the run game. I think they moderately continue to play well. Mr. LSU fan for life, 47, says our schedule is a gauntlet, Lagway and Sellers shortly after each other. So here's the thing we need to mention too, is some of this, we got to understand something here. One thing is 1,000% for certain. We face off against 7 preseason ranked top 25 teams. Regardless if some of those teams flake out or not flake out, they didn't flake out in like 19, if you remember. Right? Like, you still face that many ranked opponents. Guys, to get where you want to go, you got to play great teams. Indiana didn't, and that's unfortunate last year. Guys, Tennessee, like Carter comes on the show and says Tennessee had the easiest schedule in the SEC. No, they didn't. They played Alabama, who beat our ass last year. and they played Georgia, who won the SEC. The toughest opponent was for Indiana was the national champion, and they only faced one other team above 500. So, yeah, I do think that your gauntlet is a outright. I mean, it's a big one. Your schedule's pretty tough. Jesse O'Neill with a $5 super chat says, the Citadel put over 200 yards rushing on Clemson last year. Surely we can too, huh? I mean, look, Texas ran for almost 300. Louisville and Isaac Brown ran all over them. What I would say, Jesse, is there's two things to question about Clemson. Was it personnel or scheme? We said that it was Matt House. Matt House was the reason we sucked. Then last year we said our personnel sucked. You get what I'm saying? Clemson's got to answer the question, like against teams like Texas, Louisville, Georgia, even SMU for that regard. They could not stop the run. They couldn't. They'll look like world beaters against us, though, if we let them. They got talent. TJ Parker, Peter Woods, Woodaz, Sammy Brown. They got some really good players, man. Some really good players. And a lot of NFL guys in that front seven. They were 85th in the country in run defense a year ago. But here's the thing. LSU was – here's the question, Jesse. Jesse. There's nothing that's been shown in the run game during fall camp that believes that you've gotten better from 108th than you were a season ago. Should you? Yes. Can you? Great question. Alexander Taylor says, Blake, did Woodland run at corner instead of Stamps? I did not ask. I didn't ask about starters because I just assumed it was a lot of the same guys. I would not be surprised if he did. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Woodland's made a lot of plays. He's made a lot of plays. LSU Hyper Ninja on YouTube says, Blake, I feel people have been doubting LSU all offseason. I think it's time to prove the doubters wrong and change the narrative. Oh, you got to. You got to. You got to come out there guns blazing, being very physical. I think you've just lacked some physicality the last couple of seasons. And they're not going to give it to you because they have a point to prove too. I am worried about the run game. And normally that means when you have had something so bad in camp, normally it's not as bad as we think. And then normally when you have something great, it turns out to be dog shit. That's how it normally goes, right? Got to be able to run the football, man. Got to be able to run the football. There are a lot of people doubting you, but they're skeptical that you can overcome. They're skeptical. So we'll see. All right, one more, then we're out here. H-Town Creole says LSU defensively had problems, but because of lack of line talent and depth, every team they lost to, they were manhandled on the line. Yeah, they were clapped. Yeah, they got clapped. Wasn't good at all. Wasn't good at all. Carver says, Blake, we have to commit to the run game. I agree. I don't think we did that at all. We abandoned it. Joe abandoned it way too quickly. But we better. If you don't, you're not beating Clemson. You're not beating Clemson. Sloan's got to show that up too. Brambo says, man, BK is still depending on 2 of those 39 players to win this year. 2 of the 39. Who are the 2? Garrett and who? And Chris Hilton? So, Brambo, do you not believe in Garrett Nussmeier? That's a question you got to ask for yourself, brother. I'll say this for Garrett. I mean, he's checked the ball down a lot more this camp. He did it again on Saturday, from what I was told. No picks. I mean, guys, he was he was Pick City last year. You know what I mean? It was Pick City. Then it translated out on the field. He hadn't done that this camp. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Practice report. We'll be out there for the full practice. We'll see y'all then. Y'all have a good night. Peace.